So coming to the classification of astronomical texts, okay, so the kind of thing. So for instance, so science is broadly divided into physics, chemistry, biology. Then in physics there will be some 120 different disciplines. In chemistry 140. So it will go like that. Okay. So it keeps on dividing itself. So here you can broadly divide these texts into three types. One is Siddhanta, Tantra and Karana. What is the basis? The basis is you specify the parameter values, you specify certain formulas which will be having a very long period. If you have the period as a yuga, okay. So you would have heard about yuga, right? What are the yugas? Very good. Kali yuga, Satya yuga, Treta yuga, Dwapara yuga. Okay, there are 4 yugas they say. So the periods are also associated with these yugas. So the period of Kali Yuga is stated to be 4,32,000, and 10 times that will be a Mahayuga. So 1:2:3:4. This is how it is stated. But anyway, the point is some 43,20,000 years is stated to be a Mahayuga. And then 1000 times is what is called a Kalpa. See, those of you who have studied a bit of Bhagavad Gita, in the 8th chapter we have verse Sahasrayuga Paryantam Maharyad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Sahasrantam Tehorattra Vido Janaha. In Bhagavad Gita we have this verse. So 1000 years, okay, that is called as a Kalpa. Anyway, that is a very large period. See, 43,20,000. Okay. So 4 million into something else. So this almost 4 billion years. Okay. So 4.3 billion years is stated to be the period of a Kalpa. So these people choose this large period. I will tell you a little later what is the basis for that. If I don't tell, ask me at the end of the lecture. Okay. Now there are other things. See, to simplify the computation, they have developed other kinds of texts called Tantra, Karna, and so on. There are a few tables also were listed. And this Vakyani, I don't know, people who are from Tamil Nadu, they may be aware of what is called Vakya Panchanga. You know? Okay, this Vakya Panchanga means a calendar which has been computed based on Vakyas. That is the idea. Vakya means sentences. But at some point of time, at least by 4th century is my understanding is, but we don't have very clear evidence, at least by 13th century, people have invented an ingenious scheme. I was quite fascinated, and it has not been completely deciphered till now. So this, they have formed certain sentences. Okay? The sentences will be something like that. Girna Shreyaha, Jainava Shrihi. So some small sentences which are meaningful sentences. Rudrastu Namyaha, suppose it's a sentence. So Rudra is to be venerated. So knowledge is our wealth. Okay, Girna Shreyaha. So they basically refer to some numbers. You create a set of numbers and you memorize these sentences. These sentences will be quite instructive. It can be either making you worldly wise or it can be making you more morally grounded. So such sentences they try to form. And these sentences give you some numbers. If you are able to memorize these sentences by heart, and if you are also training yourself to do mental computations fast, then you can even predict, okay, without doing any computation, okay, where the moon is, when the year will begin, and so on. That is the kind of thing that they had developed. It is a very interesting, fascinating system, this Vakyani. So this system got developed, but the accuracy of this will be not that great. It will be valid for some time. Then you can compose another set of Vakyas which may be more valid, and so on and so forth. But that is an interesting thing that they got developed, and all of them were put to toss at some point. Okay? They all got lost. Okay, so the almanac makers, see, if you look at the Siddhanta kind of text, then evaluating sine function. So in your model, so you have to give some model, right? So in that model, so the positions have to be computed using some mathematical formula which will involve sine function. So you need to know how the sine function was precisely computed, or rather you should have a mechanism to get the sine function as precisely as possible. Okay. So evaluate, as please.
Is there a fixed number of vakyas? I did not understand that one.
Yes, yeah, that I need to give a separate lecture. I'll tell you. The fixed number of vakyas, see, it has to do with a certain recognition of a repetition. So these vakyas would not be possible for them to come up with unless they had a theoretical model. Once you have a certain theoretical model, then you may be able to predict how frequently something can repeat itself. Okay. So then based on that study, so you say moon has some 248 vakyas. So this Mercury has some other set of vakyas. They will all give you some numbers, but that set of why only 248? So you will see that some pattern will repeat after 248, and some minor corrections have to be added at the end of 248. So it is like this. So we come back to the same position, but we may not be exactly coming back to the same position. So some small error will be there, but as long as you come back almost 99.9%, so then you can see that the repetition can be done, that kind of a thing. So it is a very ingenious method which they have come up with. For moon it is much easy to understand, sun also it is easy to understand, but for planets it's a little more complicated. Okay. They have done for all this. That is one thing which I hope one of my students takes up. Okay. So this is for you to have a feel for how the Vakya looks like. See, these are actually called as Vararuchi Vakya. So this I knew some Vakyas. See, we have this Kriya called Shravana Upakarma, right? So in this Upakarma, they used to say, we list only 6. These are essentially moon Vakyas. Later I realized, I didn't know. I have been repeating it. So, but there are 248. Okay. So that's a very interesting thing. So Bhavet Sukham, Rama Giyate, they all are Vakyas, and see, it basically gives you 12 degrees, 2 minutes 35, 24 degrees, 08, 39. So there is some notation, okay, some correspondence. It is called Katapayadi notation, and this is a very ingenious way of doing this computation. That is remarkable, I must say. Okay. Now there are some people who keep criticizing, and that's why I wanted to have this. I have seen some of the texts which have been authored by Britishers, or rather some Europeans, where they make a lot of fun. Okay, fun of some things which have been stated in some of these Puranas. Okay, so there may be some description that the tortoise is supporting the earth, so something else will be there. And they make a lot of fun of it. And in their description of the contribution of Indian astronomy, it will stop there, as if nothing else. You understand? Somewhere, I mean, somebody would have said something. So the reason for quoting this is, so this has been criticized by our own people. See? So for instance, this astronomical work called Sishyadhi Vruddhida Tantra. See, the term Sishyadhi Vruddhida, what does it mean? Shishya is student, okay. Dhi? Huh?
Mind.
Buddhi. Vruddhi? Growth. See, he says this text is essentially composed to enhance the intellect of the student. Sishyadhi Vruddhida Tantra. Okay, that is how he has named the text. Anyway, there are a lot of interesting discussions there. He says, for instance, Kamathadibhi Rudhrita Mahiyadi Te Kena Dhritan Abhasthitaha Atayesham Vyatisthitiriyadi Shitigolasya tu Kena Varyati. This is a very interesting question. See, the question can be, suppose Vidur asked me, so if I put a ball in the space, it falls down. Okay? Earth is like a ball. Okay? Why does it not fall down? What do you say? So any heavy thing falls towards the earth, right? The earth should also fall. Will not fall. Why? There is nothing below.
There is nothing pulling it down, he said.
Nothing pulling it down.
Where is that?
Yeah. So these are some interesting questions. See, not only that, see, even with respect to rotation of the earth, spinning. Okay. So if you take a ball, okay, and tie it by a thread, so if you just rotate it, if you leave it, it will just move, right? So what makes the earth move around the sun? Or the sun move around the, tell me. Inertia. No. Good, you have heard of some term, but gravitational pull. So then, how does it? So anyway, so I will not get into that now. There are some interesting discussions which have been posed by these people. So he himself asked this question: if you say that Earth is supported, okay, by a tortoise, then what will support the tortoise? Okay, so then you have to keep on having some infinite regress. So these are some questions which are posed, and then to some extent they are answered. So I will leave this. The other point is, see, I just mentioned to you that they had thought of very large periods of time. I don't think any other civilization could think of. Okay, so if you look at that, they say some for 5,000 years old, etc., etc. That is what they thought 5,000 years back.